Beautiful people, and welcome. In today's video, we are talking about all of the concepts that will be on your unit test. Now, this is going to be a part 1 video. There will be a part 2. Trying to keep this as concrete as possible with the information that I'm going to provide. I am just going to be walking through how to do this, explaining it. If you would like a detailed explanation more than what I'm going to provide in this video, go ahead and watch the previous videos on each individual topic. As always, if I am human, that means I will potentially be making mistakes. Not guaranteed. Hopefully, I will not be making any mistakes. If I make a mistake, please let me know so that way I may learn from it. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'm just going to do them as if I were taking this test. A sub 34, that means they want to know the 34th term. We need to figure out this sequence. Is this arithmetic? Is this geometric? I'm noticing that there is a pattern from 40 to 46. There's nothing really that I can multiply 40 to 46 by, so I'm assuming this is arithmetic, but I'm going to need to check. That means I'm taking my right number, subtracting by my left, my right number, subtracting by my left, and my right number, subtracting by my left. If this gives me the same number, that means I have a common difference. 46 minus 40, that is 6. 52 minus 56, 46, you guys, that's a 6 as well, and so it's 6 as well. That means my common difference is 6. Now that we have our common difference, we can jump into writing the explicit rule for this sequence. So I have a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. In this case, we already know what n is because we are looking for the 34th term. So I have a sub 34 is equal to a sub 1, which is 40, first term in the sequence, plus 34 minus 1 times our common difference, in this case is 6. Make sure that you are aware that you have multiplication between your n minus 1 and your common difference. I'm going to type all of that into my calculator. So I'm doing 40 plus parenthesis 34 minus 1. Yes, you can solve that in your head. I'm choosing not to. Times parenthesis 6. And I'm pressing enter so that way the calculator can do all of the work for me and gives me 238. Very similarly here, we are now trying to find the 11th term in this sequence. Got to determine what sequence it is first. So what's the pattern from left to right? And in this case, I'm noticing that we are multiplying by 3. 1 times 3, 3 times 3, 9 times 3. So then I'm multiplying actually by negative since I have a negative, positive, negative, positive. So I am multiplying by negative 3 each time. That means I have a common ratio of negative 3, which again tells me that this is a geometric sequence. I'm looking for a sub 11 is equal to, you can do a sub n first if you want. So a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. In this case, we are looking for 11th term, so a sub 11. First term in the sequence is negative 1 times my common ratio, which is negative 3. We are looking for the 11th term minus 1. Again, you can, simplify it. I'm just choosing to type all of that into my calculator. Parenthesis negative 1, parenthesis times, parenthesis negative 3, parenthesis to the 11 minus 1 power. And that gives me a total of negative 59,049. All right, let's go ahead and move on. For question number 3, this is technically question number 4 on the correlated pretest classwork that we're doing. So make sure that you don't get this tripped up. But this one's telling you or asking you to determine the number of terms. So they give you a ton of information already. They're giving you the lower limit. They're giving you the explicit rule. And they're giving you your S sub n. The explicit rule that they have provided should ring a bell that this is arithmetic. Think no exponents, so arithmetic. That means that we have a common difference of 4. This here, if you look at your cheat sheet, this should tell you that this is an arithmetic sequence starting at 0. So this is your a sub 0 or a sub naught. Do we really care about that information? Not really, because our lower limit starts at 1, but we know that the a sub 0 is 5. So we can play around with it by using the common difference. So let's do that. Here's our formula. S sub n is equal to n divided by 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. We need to know what the term is in the first position. Again, it's not technically the first position, it's just the first one that we're using. So if we have our lower limit at 3, then it would be the term in the third position. A sub n is the term in the last position. So let's go ahead and figure this out. Take your explicit rule to find what the term is in the lower position, in this case, k equals 1. So I'm typing or plugging in 1 into k here to solve for my lower term, and my lower term is 9. So that means my a sub 1 is going to be 9. My upper term, my a sub n, I don't know what that is because I don't know what the upper limit is. That is what we're trying to solve for. That is what n is. However, if you recall example number 1 or question number 1 in this video, we said that for the explicit rule, we have a sub n plus a sub 1. Excuse me, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. So that means we can substitute or replace what a sub n is to be able to solve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say S sub n is equal to n divided by 2 times a sub 1 plus, and I'm going to take this in place of a sub n, a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times your common difference, and start plugging in. S sub n we said is 319. N divided by 2, we don't know what n is. A sub 1 is 9 plus a sub 1 is 9 plus n minus 1, we don't know what n is, but we do know that our common difference is 4. Make sure that you are multiplying and distributing that common difference. All right, let's go ahead and start simplifying, distributing. So I have 319 is equal to n divided by 2 times 18 plus 4n minus 4. So now we have 18 minus 4, that is 14. So I have 319 is equal to n divided by 2 times 4n plus 14. Now here is your choice. If you wish to distribute n halves, do so. If you wish to get rid of the divided by 2, you can do that. I usually like to, because this is multiplication, I like to times 2 on both sides. Now, you can leave this like this because I'm noticing I have a 4, 14. So I'm assuming that we're going to have to divide later out. But that's okay. So this here is, what is it? 600. This is me trying to do math in my head. 638 is equal to 4n squared plus 14n. And this is where I'm going to choose to divide everything by 2 to make my numbers smaller. So then I have back to 319 is equal to 2n squared plus 7n. Now notice that you have a quadratic, so it is n squared. So minus 319 both sides, you're going to choose either to use a quadratic formula to solve for your n value or x, or you're going to choose to factor. I recommend factoring. That's just my method. If you prefer the other method, that's perfectly okay. So factoring, I'm going to choose slip inside method, so that means I have n squared plus 7n minus 638. Now we want two numbers to multiply to 638 negative, but when I add them together, they want to equal a positive 7. And those numbers are, and again, I did do this one in advance just to do save some time on the guess and check. But for guess and check, I got 29 and 22. We want 7 to be positive. That means 22 is negative and 29 is positive. So when we are here, our two factors, I have n minus 22 and I have n plus 29. I'm going to bring that a little higher since I have more room here. Take each bubble, set each bubble equal to 0. Ooh, not yet. Not yet. So one step that I did forget to mention, these are not actually your factors because you didn't have a leading coefficient of 1. You had a leading coefficient of 2. So we still need to divide our constant by 2 and then set it equal to each other. So in this case, I have n minus 11 and I have 0 is equal to 2n plus 29 because this does not simplify. You bring that denominator out as your new coefficient for that bubble. So that means now I get to solve for our variables. I have n equals 11 and I have n equals negative 29 halves. Again, we are asking for the quantity of terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need a positive whole number. So in this case, our positive whole number is 11. This one is omitted. So how many terms? We have 11 terms. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you guys can see. It's a lot of work for this question. However, it's a very, very good question to ask because you have a lot of information from the equations, also prior knowledge with the explicit rule. All right, let's go ahead and move on. For question number 4, this is technically your question number 2 in your pretest worksheet. This one is asking us to evaluate the series from 5 to 54 of the 17 minus 8k. So this here, again, is an arithmetic sequence. So we have S sub n is equal to n divided by 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. And so this one here is going to be the term in the first position. And again, it's the first position, but it's not actually in the first position. I'll let you know. This is the last term. And let's say not first position, in the lower limit. I think that would make sense. What that means is here's your series. Etc. And then we have, so this is your term in the last position. In this case, it's 54. This is your term in the first position, second position, third position, fourth position, and here it is in the fifth position. And what that means by having a lower limit of 5, we don't care what these first 4 are because the number that we're starting with is in the fifth position. The number that we are ending in is in the 54th position. So how do we figure out what this number is in the fifth position? How do we figure out what the number is in the fourth position? Take the equation that they give you, your 17 minus 18, excuse me, your 17 minus 8k. You're going to plug in 5 for k, solve it, and then you're going to plug in 54 in for k and solve it. So I have 17 minus 8 times 5, and I have 17 minus 8 times 54. See what those values are with our calculator. So 17 minus 8 times 5, and that gives me a negative 23, and that's going to be the a sub 1, and here's my bunny ears, a sub 1. It's going to be the term in your fifth position, and then for your upper limit, I have 17 minus 8 times 54, so the term in the 54th position is negative 415. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and plug that into our formula. So S sub n is equal to n divided by 2. A sub 1 is negative 23 plus a sub 54. And I think I said a sub 1 is a sub 5. A sub 54 is negative 415. Now, what about n? Well, n is the quantity of terms. So starting here, this is going to be your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So how many actual terms are you adding? To find that out, let me actually do this above here. You're going to take your upper limit, which is 54. You're going to subtract by your lower limit, which is 5. And then you're going to add one more. So 54 minus 5 plus 1, that gives me to 50. So that means my n value here is 50. We are saying what is the sum of the 50 terms where the first term is negative 23 and the last term is negative 415. Type this into your calculator. 50 divided by 2, that is 25. So S sub 50 is equal to 25 times negative 23 plus a negative 415. That is a negative 438. So negative 438 times 25, and that gives me S of 50 is equal to negative 10,950.